All right, and we're live. We're a couple minutes behind, but that's all right. We kind of added this in. So we have Polina from the team at ChainSafe, who is going to walk through ChainBridge and some of the awesome stuff that their team's working on. So take it away.
Hey everyone, my name is Polina, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the ChainBridge and do just a little dive on how it works and what do we have with the bridge now. So let's start with how does the bridge work? So we have two blockchains, there are the circles on the left and the right, and we need to pass messages from one to another. So we're adding a relayer that could do that. And even better, let's add like 3 relayers so we don't have one point of failure. And for example, if one get hacked, we get 2 more. Also, there are multi-sig, so you have, for example, 1 out of 3 relayers to pass messages from one blockchain to another chain. So how, like, to make those relayers work with other chains, how do we actually connect them to blockchains, and how do we do that? Within the relayer, we have 3 components. Those are connection, listener, and writer. Connection allows you to connect to the chain specifically. And when you're passing a message from one chain to another, you will need to get it from one chain and write to another chain. And here, hence you have like listener and a writer. Listener specifies what events to listen to and how to handle them. And writer is what lets you get processed events and handle calls on chain. On the blockchain side, you will need smart contracts that will implement bridge logic in the chain itself. And that is what will be emitting events to the relayer. And yeah, on chain, you will have a bridge contract that will be the core piece for the smart contracts. And then you will have some amount of handlers, one handler for the specific contract that you want to interact with on chain. So for example, when you're transferring tokens from one chain to another, we have this notion of origin chain and destination chain. On the origin chain, you will need to log them in the bridge contract, and then on destination chain, you will need to mint them. And for example, like most of the contracts on the origin chain will not allow for burning, so that's why the funds are locked. Example could be DAI, and to bridge them, they will need to be locked in the bridge contract and then minted on the destination chain. So on-chain components are deployed and set up by an admin. Admin is chain specific, so if we have like 2 blockchains and a couple of relayers, so we'll have admin for each specific chain. And it does all the needed configuration for the smart contracts or for pallets on the chain that it's in. For example, he also registers the relayers and configures that, set up fees or pauses and unpauses the bridge, and so on. Additionally, you can actually do a DAO instead of admin or do a multi-sig. For that's a good example would be an Avalanche bridge. They actually have a multi-sig to control their bridge contracts. But yeah, you can like spin up pretty much anything to that would like fit into the smart contract to have some sort of governance on top of your admin in the blockchain. So now let's take a look inside the relayer. Relayer listens to the events from the bridge contract, and once event appears, that will be a deposit event. Listener gets it and reformats data into a specific message format. Considering we only have 1 relayer, like 1 out of 1 multisig kind of, he will also vote and execute the proposal for the deposit. Then he'll get a message, reformatted, so it can be passed to a router. Router then will check the data in the destination chain and then pass it to writer module. Writer module will get the format, process the message data, and submit transaction into chain in the format of the chain that it's been submitted to the destination chain. And yeah, having this, let's take a look at the token transfer being the most used use case. So for some token transfers, there actually has to be an approved transaction from user first. And then user will call the deposit method of the bridge, and then bridge will get the funds from the token from user and actually transfer them to the bridge contract and emit deposit event. Relayer will hear the deposit event, then read the proposal or see, for example, if several relayers and that's a multisig, that other relayer may have created proposal, and then this one will just vote on it. In case this is the last relayer threshold of multisig, then it will finalize it right away. Inside the relayer, as on previous slide, there will be a message that will finalize the proposal and be routed into specific chain writer, and then writer will send it to the blockchain. And on the blockchain itself, once transaction is mined, user will receive the freshly minted tokens that are like representation of the tokens from previous blockchain. Right, so we have the bridge set up. We have deployed contracts on the chain, on each of those chains, or maybe smart contracts and the pallet. Admins have set up the relayers, and we have relayers that can pass messages from one blockchain to another. And in this case, for our bridge specifically, in case you would want to add one more blockchain, it's really easy to do because it's just a module that you'll have to add to the relayer, and that is actually would allow you to bridge tokens like throughout all of the chains in kind of loop. For example, you can try to pass something from like white blockchain, then to black blockchain, then to yellow. Considering the white blockchain was the original one, you can then like through the loop get the original tokens from the last destination chain back to the origin chain that were locked in there. You will be able to unlock them in a loop. That is kind of really cool. Right, and out of the box, right now, Bridge supports most of the EVM compatible chains, and there may be some back and forth with connections considering the finality and block time for specific chain implementations. And yeah, we also have Substrate palette, and that's pretty much covers up everyone for Polkadot ecosystem. To summarize everything that's been here for the bridge, so we have relayers that are trusted set up with admin because admin is the one who adds or removes relayers. You can set up as much of them as needed, but however, like most usual cases, something like 3 out of 5, which is enough for the security. For the things that you can pass through the bridge, you can bridge pretty much anything out of the box, and the implementations that we have are fungible and non-fungible tokens. However, if you have your decentralized application that you want to bridge some data from it to another chains, it's pretty easy to integrate it. You can just get a generic handler implemented for your specific dApp calls, like to figure out how would bridge contract pass this data to another chain. And yeah, you're pretty much good to go. As for bridges in production, a bridge that has been in production the longest, it's about for a year now, it's Centrifuge, and they have been passing NFT tokens and arbitrary messages, and also bridges their core piece of infrastructure. Yeah, I've been working for a year, so far so good. Also, yeah, here's the bridge right in the middle. Also, we have EDC bridge that has been live like for a while now, sometime before New Year deployed. And it allows transferring the EDC, wrapped EDC into the Ethereum mainnet, and also DAI from Ethereum mainnet back to the EDC. The most recent and the most heavily used probably the bridge for now is Avalanche Bridge. It's actively secures over 120 million United States dollars on a given day. And yeah, for now, like the total volume that has passed and been handled in the bridge has been over $350 million. So yeah, that's the biggest one. In case you want to check out something more about ChainBridge, feel free to jump into the docs or go straight to repository. Everything is open source. Feel free to comment or pull request if you want to. And then, yeah, if you have even more questions to be handled, feel free to reach out on Discord or just at ChainSafe. We'll respond to that. Okay, let me see, what do we have with the timing? Cool. I can also show a demo of Moonbeam Bridge. Let me try to stop and switch my sharing screen to another one. Give me one sec. Share screen. All right. You should be able to see the entire screen right now. Good. Yeah. All right, I can see it. And so should you. This is the token transfer interface for Moonbeam. You can also test it out. This is my favorite for the interface, to be honest. And yeah, so it works with MetaMask. you connect MetaMask in here. Right now it's on Kovan. And let's try and send some tokens to the Moonbeam. Let's send 3 tokens. You can actually mint tokens for yourself in here and then send it. I'll prefer to send to my own address. And let's start transfer. So here it will ask for me to actually call the deposit function in the Chainbridge for the Moonbeam. So here it will take 3 transactions. First one is the deposit call, which has just happened. You can see like it's passed. And so deposit function has been called and it has sent the deposit event to the relayer. So at this moment, relayer has seen the deposit event. And right now they're creating the transaction to vote and execute proposals, because you see like it says in transit, it says 0 out of 1 signatures needed. So it's just 1 relayer in here. For example, if there's 2 or 3 or 5 relayers, you can have like 2 out of 2 transactions and so on. It will just go 1 by 1. So first relayer will create the proposal and vote on it. The second one will vote on it. The third one will vote and execute and so on. So right now we're waiting for the first transaction from relayer to mine. Afterwards, there will be 1 more transaction that is actually propagating the tokens to another chain, which is Moonbeam. So it will be a transaction to mint the funds on the Moonbeam chain. So you see there's a proposal has been created and has been passed. So right now it will be like probably a couple minutes just for the transaction for minting tokens already on the Moonbeam side to be created and tokens to be transferred to my address in the Moonbeam. So yeah, just a couple more minutes in here. Yeah, feel free to use the Moonbeam. It's actually very cool in terms of interface, and I like the colors. Let's give it, I don't know, maybe 1 minute. And do we have any more time for now?
We should probably start to wrap up, but I know you started a couple minutes late, so I don't want to cut you off if you've maybe a minute or 2.
Yeah, I think we can wrap up pretty much in this case. It'll be like just maybe a minute for the transaction tomorrow. It will be finished up. Other than that, yeah, I think I'm done.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, so everybody, you can actually find docs for this in the Moonbeam documentation. I can actually let me pop this in here, unless it, looks like Mario already did, but I'll pop it in here as well. So yeah, feel free to check it out, play around with it. Thank you so much for joining, Polina, and great work. And we'll be hopping over to the DeFi panel here in a second.